everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Stream of Eliminator Stories. I want to say good morning, everyone, because I'm coming from the Gold Coast, Australia. I've got the wonderful Ken Freel with me. He's also coming at me from the Moffat, Colorado, which is pretty awesome. I was commenting on her background and how amazing that looks. But hey, guys, I wanted to also say happy International Women's Day, because if you're in America right now, it is the 8th of March. For me here in Australia, it is now the 9th of March, but today is International Women's Day. So I wanted to say, choose to challenge. So for those of you who are familiar with International Women's Day, it is celebrated all over the world on the 8th of March. And this year, being International Women's Day, the theme for this year is choose to challenge. This is a world where a challenge world is an alert world. Individually, we're responsible for our own thoughts and actions every single day, all day. And we can choose to challenge or call out gender biases and inequalities. And we choose to speak out and celebrate women's achievements. So that's exactly what we're doing here inside of the She Myth book launch group, and also everywhere else on our Take a Stand show and through our She Myth Eliminator story. So I wanted to say a huge big welcome to Tina. Thank you so much for being here on the show with me this morning. Let's have a bit of a chat about, your life, some of the she myths that maybe you've overcome. And I hear that you've got some fantastic stories about your family lineage and how you've managed to, I suppose, overcome a lot of adversity to be able to build really successful businesses and, to where you guys are today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I have 3 siblings, an older sister and a younger brother. And so with the 2 of us being females and the oldest ones, my father always wanted a boy. And so we were all kind of worked like men. Expected to work on the ranch every day and help out. Always had farm chores to do and everything, which taught me how to work really hard. So I helped my father on our ranch and stuff, and then went off, and I had a cosmetology degree, had my own hair salon for a while, and then decided that I ended up in the food service industry, and I decided I really wanted my own place. And my mom and dad helped me get it going. My dad was helping me build the restaurant because I was driving an hour every day to work one way. And he was worried with the hours I was putting in, I was going to end up schmucked on the road. So he wanted me closer to home, a little safer. And so we went together. He bought me this building and we started remodeling it to open the restaurant. In the meantime, he ended up with a very rare case of leukemia. And about 3 months before we thought we were going to have it opened, he passed away. Took us about another year after that because we were doing all of the work ourselves. And after my dad passed away, I didn't feel as a female that I had the knowledge to be a contractor and to get it built to where it was done correctly and would withstand time. So my mom and I were doing it. We hired contractors, and it was a constant battle because of us being female, and you would tell them you want something done one way and they'd go about doing it their own way. And then you'd have to go back and fight with them to get them to do it the way you wanted. And it took us another year after that to finally get it opened due to all of the thing. My cafe is called Grammy's Kitchen, and after we got it open, we said we should have named it the Repeat Cafe because everything in there we had to do twice, at least. It was really hard because, well, it's kind of like when a woman takes their car to the mechanic tries to screw them over because they don't think that the women know anything about what they're in there doing. And that was the battle I fought with these contractors all the time. I literally picked up a 2x4 to get the one contractor to listen to me. And when we finished the conversation, It worked. When we
I'm
finished
like,
the
yeah.
conversation, from then on out, he was like, "And how would you like this done, Miss Freel?"
Otherwise, I'm going to get bashed around the ears with a 2x4. Look out.
It was a chore, but we got it open and we're doing good. And it's a daily battle. It's a work, but it's labor of love. So nothing makes me happier than to have people come in and eat and leave full and happy and glad that they stopped.
So what made you, like, that's quite some shift, like from, ranch daughter to, hairdressing salon to now restaurant owner. Like, why, why that move? What made you sort of go down that path?
I was a single mom from the time my oldest daughter was 3. And so I worked in the food service industry because it was the most money I could make in the least amount of time. Um, my income was dependent on how good of service I give. And I would have never thought about cooking. And I was here working, and somebody got a hold of my dad and said, "You have a couple daughters. Don't one of them cook? We need a cook for this restaurant." And I started laughing because I thought, there ain't no way. And I got in there and really enjoyed it. And it's really, even on the ranch, everything revolves around food. You have a branding, you have a huge meal. And so it's something that I had done my whole life, just not so much short order wise. But, we have a huge family, extended family that's close.
What I
So
find really fascinating and what's really interesting about, this particular story is that, a lot of women think I don't have a lot of skill, and we, because we are women, we tend to be taught, things get handed down the generational lines as in you must learn to cook, you must learn to clean, you must learn to, do all of these domesticated things. And we often just think that that's what they are. They're a domesticated chore, when in fact they're actually really valuable skills. And I think that's what you've obviously found, that the skill that you had, and even with your upbringing, and you're saying, well, living on a ranch, we learned all of these things. Everything was very family oriented. So you're used to having, communicating with lots of people at once, making people feel at home. So it kind of, as you sort of look back and you reflect on that, it makes absolute sense that somebody like you would be really, really good in the hospitality environment because of that upbringing and the skill set that you had.
yeah.
What I love too, I love that name too, the Repeat Cafe, more so from a point of view of, I'm sure that when people come to your cafe, their bellies are full and they absolutely love it. They want to come back for a repeat. So anyway, just saying. It's my branding and my creativity coming out of me. So tell me, so as far as like those early days of you making that change, like never having owned a restaurant before, having been a business owner, and obviously coming from it's got good stock of people who have owned businesses for many generations, moving into having your own business, was that a big shift for you? Like how did you find that transition?
Um, there wasn't a huge shift. When I decided it was something I wanted to do, I started gathering restaurant equipment for 20 years, gathering it and storing it. And a couple years before we opened, I was actually the general manager of the restaurant that I was working at. So I had kind of progressed in the training through the other places I was employed. And I had owned another restaurant before, but it was a real small 3-table kind of convenience store thing. This was a little bit of a shift, and it was an eye opener. I had thought of all these different ways I was going to make money and all these different avenues I was going to have to go down in order to make this profitable in the little town I live in. And we're going on our 4th year, and there's still about 75% of those that I haven't even started yet.
Well, congratulations. So When you, obviously that has been a journey over quite some time, but there would have been a point where you thought, do you know what, this is like, has this always been a dream of yours? Like, is this a dream, or has this been born out of necessity? Like being a solo mum, I've got to put food on the table, literally to make ends meet for my family. Like, was it like that, or was this something that was a childhood dream?
No, it just it was born out of necessity. I had to do it, and I am a people person. I tried to work in a cubicle. That doesn't work for me. Um, but it was out of necessity, and then I have found that in doing it, it was a gift. And had I just been more aware earlier on, like when I was in college for accounting, we'd do these bake sales, and one of my professors kept saying, you need to open a pie shop. You know, that's what you need to do. And I'm like, yeah, you're just
Mhm.
sucking up so you can get some more pie.
and,
But
and so and it just has evolved from there, yeah.
yeah,
So I understand you've got a particular type, like when you open the restaurant, did you think about, how can I make this restaurant really niche? Did you go mainstream, or was it, I'm going to do a particular type of thing?
we went kind of old school.
Hmm. So tell us about that.
We wanted it to feel like you had just walked in to grandma's house and sit back and relax. We do make everything from scratch, bake all our own breads. We just really wanted to take a step back in time, and I have people complain that the food's not fast, and no, it's not fast food. It's
Hmm.
good food.
Yeah, 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 which is made from scratch with, like you say, like going to grandma's house and having a really nice home cooked meal that you will, that you will thoroughly enjoy and be full for, hours after, not walk out the door and want to find the next McDonald's because you're still hungry. So if you
Yeah,
were
that
to give
doesn't
some,
happen.
no, I bet it doesn't. I can imagine. I want to come to Moffat, Colorado, and try one of these pies at some point. So, when you're thinking about like other women who are out there, because there may be some other women out there right now who are listening to our conversation today, and they're thinking, "Gosh, in this kind of post-pandemic environment, I need to do something, and I need to do something different." What sort of things do you think, or like what advice would you give to somebody who is in that situation? Like maybe they're also needing to do something out of necessity. What would you recommend they do?
Well, work's only work if you don't enjoy what you're doing. And if you enjoy what you're doing, it comes through in all of that. Like my burgers. Everybody says my burgers are great. What do you season them with? Well, the only thing I put in them is a little bit of love.
Hmm.
I don't put any seasonings. So it's, you need to follow your heart. You need to listen to your intuition. Anytime I get into trouble, it's because I ignore that little voice that keeps telling me what to do. But follow your gut. It's going to lead you in the right direction, and always a lot of hard work involved. But
Hmm.
you know,
So, so
be
Tina,
strong
like
enough to stand up for yourself and do what you love.
I'm so glad that you have mentioned that, because that is extremely important that you understand who you are and what it is that you're about, so that you can be clear on what it is that you're standing up for. And obviously, you standing up for good home cooked meals like you would get at grandma's place. That is your go-to, and that's become your mantra. So with, as far as like you mentioned, because this is something that a lot of women have been talking about, like on all of the She Myth Eliminator series, has been, listening to my intuition, listening to my gut. Did you always do that, or has that been something that you have developed or have become more in tune to over time? And if that's the case, like, how did you do that? Because often we go, oh yeah, I know my gut's telling me this, but my head and the logic is telling me I should do something completely different.
Um, I would say it's developed over time. There's been a few times that that voice has picked up the 2x4.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's, well, like one time I had to go pick up my brother from the hayfield, and I had a cast on my arm. I had been bucked off a horse and broke my arm. And I had left my driver's license at home, and I thought, oh, I should turn around and go get it. And it's like, it's just a couple miles down the road. It'll be fine. Well, we were in a car wreck on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, should have got my driver's license, and so it's, whenever I'm really wondering if what I'm listening to, I try to just go someplace quiet and really just think about things and kind of weigh out the ideas, and wherever the peace falls, that's where I go.
Well, that's fantastic advice. I want to know if there's, like, often as we get a bit older, we become a lot wiser, more mature. We start to think about these things. Like you say, we slow down and we really think hard. We get some quiet time to reflect on, okay, well, where should I go? What is my intuition and my gut actually telling me? Because that's kind of the North Star. That's the way that I should be going. If you had to, go back in time and you had to give your so your younger self, your 10, 15 years old, a piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be that might be relevant for all young girls today?
Stay true to yourself and make sure you put yourself first. You've got to take care of you and not try to please everybody else out there.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Because that is, again, is a very, very relevant piece of advice. Because often, we're brought up to please people and want to, make everybody else happy, and often we can go through life with that in mind, and we lose ourselves in the process. And it's not until we get a little bit older that we realize, hang on a minute, where did Tina or where did Tracy go? And we're way off track because we're trying to please everybody else. So thank you so much for that piece of advice. Look, everybody, I want to let everybody know where they can get a copy of the She-Myth book. So if you have not got yourself a copy of the She-Myth book, then I would highly recommend that you head on over to amazon.com.au if you're in Australia, and amazon.com if you are in America. And I was just looking around for my book. My granddaughter was here on the weekend and she picked it up and she was reading it. So I'm sure that it is down in the lounge room where she was reading my book. So I wanted to show you a couple of pages in there. But anyhow, you'll have to go and buy the book so that you can actually read it yourself. So go and find yourself a copy of the book. Today is International Women's Day. So today we do have that book on sale. So if you want to get a copy of it, if you haven't done so already, you want to head on over to Amazon, get yourself an ebook version for 99 cents. That's all it's going to cost you. And that's what's going to help you to change your life now and forever. The things that you will uncover and you will learn inside of the She-Myth book will change your life. So I want to recommend that you head on over there and that you purchase it. I want to say thank you so much to Tina for being here with us today and sharing her She-Myth Eliminator story. Wishing you all the best. Your cafe and your restaurant sounds amazing. I can't wait to eventually get back over to America, and maybe I'll get an opportunity to come to Colorado and to Moffat and hang out with you in the cafe and have one of those amazing pies that you and burger that you are famous for. So thank you so much for being here. Everybody else, you can join us again on another episode of the She-Myth Eliminator story. I'll be back here again very, very soon with another amazing woman who'll be sharing her story. But for now, choose to challenge. International Women's Day is today, and we want to make sure that all over the world that we're sharing our stories, sharing our good news, championing, being the champion for one another, and making sure that we're lifting one another up. And ensuring that women all over the world get a level of equality that they deserve. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you guys again soon. Thank you so much, Tina, and I'll see you soon too. Bye for now, everybody.